Many would argue that Fatal Frame 2 is not just the most popular game in the series, but also the best. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do agree that it's definitely up there as having some of the biggest impact from the series. That being said, how much do you actually know about all of the ins, outs, and hidden little secrets and behind-the-scenes stories from this game? Well, we're going to take a look at some of them this week, so let's head on in and discover some facts about Fatal Frame 2, Crimson Butterfly, and its many remakes. 1. Fatal Frame 2 first released in Japan on November 27th, 2003 for the PlayStation 2. It came out in NA on December 9th that same year, and then EU on April 30th, 2004. And just like the first game, it also got an Xbox release, coming out first in NA on November 1st, 2004, Japan on November 11th, and EU on February 4th, 2005. Meaning this game is now almost 22 years old. 2. It was also the first game in the series to get a remake, with the Wii edition, or Deep Crimson Butterfly, coming out for the Wii on June 28, 2012 in both Japan and Australia, and 1 day later in Europe. This game never got an official NA release, and as such, the English dub for this one interestingly has the most British accents you could ever imagine. It's certainly a choice. 3. But wait, there's more. It was just recently announced that the second game will be getting yet another remake. This one apparently just titled Crimson Butterfly Remake. This version is remaking the original game from the PS2 and ignoring the Wii version, so don't get them confused. 4. This game features Amakura Mio and Mayu, who are descendants of Dr. Aso, the guy who made the camera from the first game. But there are even more ties to the first game with Yae, the twin who managed to escape from Minakami Village, going on to be Miku's great-grandmother. Other than that, however, the games aren't really related and are entirely standalone stories. 5. On that note, when Fatal Frame 2 first came out, it was believed to have been set 30 years before the events of Fatal Frame 1. Several news outlets reported this and called the game a prequel, and producer Kikuchi himself stated in an interview that yes, Fatal Frame 2 takes place 30 years before the first game. So of course, that was what everyone assumed. However, when Fatal Frame 3 came out, it was confirmed that the events of Fatal Frame 2 took place 2 years after the first game. It's important to note that the second game doesn't ever give specific dates for when the main storyline takes place, and it's only with the addition of Fatal Frame 3 that we can now more accurately pinpoint when these events actually happen. It's likely this change occurred simply because it better fit the storyline they wanted to tell with 3. And technically, nothing had to change with the second game, because it never had any official dates in the game anyway. 6. The image song for this game was Cho by Amano Tsukiko, marking her first time working on a main song for the series. It actually premiered on July 30th, several months before the game came out, at one of her live shows. Although the first game doesn't have an image song, they decided to go for one with the second game because they wanted something more powerful that would resonate with listeners, and that, in their opinion, was more easily achievable with a human voice to go alongside it. The song was then released as a single on November 12, 2003, shortly before the game's release. 7. It was Shibata who actually recommended Amano at first. When Kikuchi mentioned wanting an image song, Shibata went to a CD shop in Shinjuku, flicked through the A section, and there found Amano. After listening to her song Hakoniwa, he loved it and made Kikuchi listen to it as well. And the more Kikuchi listened to her music, the more he fell in love with her voice and worldview. They then sent her information about the second game, such as the setting and plot, and she played through the first game to get a feel for it before coming up with Cho for the second game. However, years later, Amano admitted she never actually read the documents she was sent about the game. So she was surprised when she saw, well, her song actually fit the ending of the game. 8. According to an interview Shibata did with the PlayStation blog website in 2013, the storyline of Fatal Frame 2 is based on a dream he had shortly after they finished making the first game. This dream, according to him, had a perfect plot and was both scary, magical, and traumatic. It even came with an ending, so all he really had to do was work that into a playable game somehow. And according to Kikuchi, the rest of the team took inspiration from both Japanese and Western horror when it came to creating the game, mixing things from here and there to create the story they wanted to tell. 9. The game reportedly went on to sell around 42,000 copies in Japan, and around 22,000 in the rest of the world. This was a distinct improvement over the first game, which only sold around 42,000 games in total. 10. It's with this game that the devs really started to emphasize not just horror, but beauty amongst horror. Shibata not only instructed the CG team to really focus on making the cutscenes not just scary, but beautiful as well. And he also personally provided them with materials, such as movies and images, to show just what it was that he was after. 11. Although we don't see any health bars in the game, the ghosts do have varying HP, which determines how strong or weak they are. The weakest ghosts in the game are the torch, pole, and sickle bearers from the second chapter, who only have a HP of 50. The strongest is, of course, the Kusabi during his boss fight, and he has a HP of 700. 12. Depending on the version of the game you're playing, the spirit list will vary. If you play the NA version, Ghosts 147 to 150 will be various Western journalists from the gaming industry. This is the same for the EU version, except using EU gaming journalists. And if you play the Japanese version, these ghosts will be employees from Famitsu. The Xbox version also has a bunch of new ghosts you can only find in that game. 13. If you're looking for a new way to play the game, the Xbox version allows you to play the game entirely in first person. Now you can really get up close and personal with the ghosts. 14. Kikuchi credited novelist Yokomizo Seishi as helping him create the unique atmosphere they were going for in this game. Yokomizo was a mystery novelist who you may know as the creator of the infamous fictional detective Kindaichi Kosuke. Kikuchi also credited The Shining as having some influence on him as well. 15. Kikuchi has also stated that he doesn't feel that Fatal Frame 2 is a survival horror game. He doesn't mind if other people call it that, but to him, it's not survival horror. It's not even action horror. It's just horror. 16. The game's theme color is, of course, crimson. Kikuchi also mentioned in an interview with Team Xbox that the story theme was symmetry. This ties into the twins and butterflies and the horrors that happen when you tear two sides of one whole apart. 17. According to Shibata, Mio's original design concept was of a girl who joined ballet classes, as she was rather conscious of how easily she gained weight. While there, she came to like the brand that created their tutus, and so she bought much of her wardrobe from that same company. How oddly specific. Mayu, on the other hand, was said to simply go with what Mio liked, buying from the same brand. This is why their clothes are similar. 18. Mio and Mayu are 15 in the original game, but in the Wii remake, they are aged up to 17. This was, according to Shibata, a direct request from Nintendo themselves. This didn't change too much with the game, but he did feel they needed to retain much of their youthfulness for the Crimson Butterfly ending, so they tried not to make them too mature either. 19. And on that note, when redesigning the twins for the Wii remake, they ended up going through numerous iterations of their new outfits, as Shibata noted that overseas staff told them that nobody would wear what the girls wore in the original game. They went through design after design, trying to come up with something that actual people might wear in a live-action version, but ultimately throwing them all out as not being fitting enough, or not matching well enough as twins, until they finally settled on what we have in-game. Special attention was paid to Mio's back and shoulders, as this is what you will generally see while playing her, while more attention was paid to Mayu's front, in particular, leaving her throat bare so that it would be easier to see the Crimson Butterfly in the end. 20. Deep Crimson Butterfly ended up incorporating not just things that couldn't fit or work in the first game, but also improvements from feedback for that game as well. For example, story beats that were shortened in the original were allowed to be expanded on here, including a longer intro. The remake also allowed them to fix or change things that weren't quite clear in the original game, such as the butterflies around the village, which Shibata noted had originally confused people, as he added them for ambiance, but people were confused whether they were meant to help or hinder, and often tried to follow them when they just existed for atmosphere. And so he decided to put them only in places where they would be meaningful. 21. On that note, Nintendo also requested a small change with Mayu in the remake, asking that they make it easier for people to understand that she is losing her sanity throughout the game, as that was apparently not something many people realized while playing the original. As such, they ended up adding a few new events to better convey her loss of sanity, as well as working hard on her expressions to better convey her mindset as well. 22. The original version of the game has 3 endings: Lingering Scent, Crimson Butterfly, and Hellish Abyss. Due to the events of Fatal Frame 3, we know that Crimson Butterfly ending is the canon one. The Xbox version then added the Promise ending, and the Wii version adds yet another 2 endings, with the Shadow Festival and Frozen Butterfly endings. 23. If you're playing the Wii remake and have 2 remotes, turning the second one on will result in getting some unique lines that play through the speaker. Each chapter has a unique line for when both remotes are connected, and also for when one disconnects, generally related to Mayu remarking how they'll always stay together, or how she'll keep waiting for Mio. 24. And for the remake's theme song, which Amano Tsuki once again worked on, she also had a hand in the English translation as well. According to her, she started work on it herself entirely unaware that Nintendo of Europe's staff had also started work on their own translation. She was impressed with how they managed to match the meaning of what she wanted to convey, but went back and forth a few times on some lines until they were able to reach an agreement. But, according to Amano herself, the entire translation was still done in just 4 days. 25. During development of the Wii remake, Shibata noted that when some employees from another company were checking cutscenes, everyone suddenly heard laughter during the scene where Sae also laughs. But this laughter wasn't coming from the game. Everyone pointed over Shibata's shoulder. It was coming from behind him. This reportedly happened again during a meeting with Nintendo employees, but this time coming from the window. The room he was in was on the 6th floor. And that is 25 facts about Fatal Frame 2, the game that's about to get its second remake. But what did you guys think of this one? Are there any other characters or games you'd like me to explore? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time.